It's all tied up. The Pittsburgh Penguins tie up their first round series with the New York Islanders, one game apiece, as Tristan Jarry and the Penguins rebound and snag a 2-1 victory over the New York Islanders to avenge their Sunday 4-3 overtime loss. This is Mic'd Up, our Hump Day edition of Mic'd Up here on this Wednesday morning. I'm Mike Asti, and I am joined by Mike Vukovcan. And of course, Mic'd Up is presented by Martin Lawn Services, where you can call Doug Martin at 412-849-5894. And Mike, we're going to keep it short this morning, recap the Penguins game and move on. The Penguins win it 2-1. They get a regulation victory. Tristan Jarry much better. He had to be better. We called it a must-win game yesterday morning. They ended up getting the victory. They definitely played better. Jeff Carter played better in particular. We called him out too. They got secondary scoring, and they won. And many could even say they outplayed the Islanders most of this series, even though they lost game one, and the Islanders ending up with that overtime win. What are your thoughts right now? Are you more confident in them winning this series right now? And is this something that you feel like the Penguins are now back to form and are the better team, and the Islanders got lucky in game one? Or did the Penguins maybe get lucky in game two, and we still don't know how the rest of the series is going to go?
I don't think we know how the series is going to go. I just think it's too close to call. I thought the Penguins won, but for the second consecutive game, I thought, I don't know, the Islanders are just a weird team to read.
Right.
You don't see any superstars on the team, and for the first half of the game, you just thought that the Penguins were, beating the hell out of them. And then you look at the scoreboard, and it's still 2-0. And it's like, wow. And then they scored that goal, and then things tightened up. It's a game where the Penguins are going to just have to be very patient. And, and I know it's a, cliche, but they just got to get the bounces. They did the first period, that lucky goal by Brian Rust. 99 out of 100 times Varlamov's going to stop that for the Penguins' sake. He didn't that time. And that, very much was the difference in the game. I don't think the Penguins particularly totally outplayed them. I think they did at the beginning. But then once the Islanders got their footing.
Like game one.
Yeah, exactly. I thought it was an even game. I thought the Penguins were fortunate that couple things. Number one, that there weren't very many penalties called. The Islanders, until the last 2 minutes of the game, hadn't had a penalty the whole game, which is very unusual in playoff hockey.
Right.
And the second thing is, I thought the Islanders' best play was at the end of that second period. And I think the Penguins are very fortunate at the end of that period that they were at the end of the second period, because the way things were tilting, the ice was completely tilted toward the Islanders' favor. And, if there had been another 3 minutes left in that period, it wouldn't have shocked me if, that game was tied.
Wouldn't have been surprising. I did think, like game one, the Penguins controlled the possession most of the way. And usually if you control puck possession, you're able to win. They didn't get outworked as much as they did maybe in game two or game one at times. Late in game one, after the second Islanders goal, you could argue the Penguins got outworked despite having more talent. Crosby didn't have to dominate this game. They were able to get the victory off secondary scoring, and then Jarry. And Jarry being better also goes to, he wasn't allowing the 30-footers that like he was in game one. I mean, some of those goals were bad. So I guess I'll ask this too. Do you have more confidence in him, or is it still a wait-and-see approach with him? Because he has been a goalie that rebounds from poor performances. He didn't play well in game one. He's still young. It's still his first playoff go-around, as when they got swept by the Islanders. That was Matt Murray a couple years ago. But this is good. It was bad on Sunday. Any more confidence in Tristan Jarry going forward?
No, I won't have an evaluation on him until the end of the series.
Okay, it's fair.
You hit the key phrase there, is he's young. Right now, he's feeling good about himself. He got a win. He's feeling good. However, he goes to New York tomorrow,
right,
and gives up 4 or 5 goals. That's going to be completely different. I just think with a young player, I think that's one of the keys with the Islanders was that Varlamov gave up that early goal, but because he's a veteran, that didn't spook him or anything.
He's played well, and he's been around a long time.
Jari's going to be judged solely by how he does at the end of this series. We can make period by period evaluations of him, but the bottom line is we're not going to know and be able to give him a definitive he did well, or we have a lot of confidence with him until this thing's all said and done, because it can change, period by period, shift by shift.
Right. And at least for this series, and it might not be the case moving forward, because again, the Islanders are good, but there are better teams coming up.
He needs this series.
He does,
to have a good series, because the Penguins don't want to go into the off season having their young goalie lose in the first round again and have that be what everyone remembers him by. And then he's going to have a whole regular season of, okay, he played well, but can he play in the playoffs? He needs to enjoy some success. The team needs him to enjoy some success just for his long-term, psyche.
I definitely think so, especially after the Murray trade and giving him the keys to the Cadillac. Now, again, he's very, very young, and the Murray story of winning cups young, or Patrick Waugh winning cups young, that's not normal, but at least got to get through this series. The Penguins are the more talented team. They've been the better team all year. They've been the division champion. Yeah, and in game one was losing because he was playing poorly. Yes, the defense wasn't good. The secondary scoring wasn't enough. But again, the Islanders aren't the most star-studded team. The firepower is not there in comparison to the Penguins. I will say the Penguins need to be better in the power play if they're going to have a deep playoff run. Yeah, they won that game, and we can always talk about Jari all day, and he needs to be good enough. He was good enough in game two, was not good enough in game one. But the power play still didn't get it done. And if you're going to have those rare opportunities, you have to seize the day with or without Malkin. And the power play actually was better without Malkin this year, but Malkin's still not there. So that's a question mark. How long can they go in a deep run without him? You figure veteran, great player, Hall of Famer. You'd rather have him back, even though they played most of the year without him. What are your thoughts here, though? Again, mic'd up here on PSL and PSN and all through the Now Network here, talking Penguins hockey, recapping the Penguins game 2 victory as they tie up this series. Also that coverage over there at Pittsburgh Hockey Now, and our post-game show here on Pittsburgh Sports Live after the game. What are your thoughts on just in general, but especially now here this year, of the referees just swallowing the whistle? Because normally you do see a little different game called in the playoffs in all sports, but certainly in hockey. But for me, if you're just going to call nothing, that also can be a problem, because if the penalty's there, I'd like it to be called. I don't want it to be penalty city, but you have to call something. It's appeared in game 2, unlike even game 1, unlike some of the other games in this playoffs, that the referees were really scared to call anything. I don't know if that connects to the Tom Wilson incident and how we ended the year. I don't know what that connects to, and I don't know if that's going to be how it's going to be moving forward. But would you rather referees call it regular, just call what's there, be a little looser and swallow the whistle, or tighten it up a little bit? Because the game is called differently in the postseason in the NHL. It just is.
I would rather just call them what they see. I don't care if it's the postseason. I don't care if it's 2 minutes in a period. I don't care if it's late in the third period. If there's a penalty, there's a penalty. I honestly didn't. I don't know. I watched, from start to finish.
Right.
I can't. Honestly, maybe I'm wrong, and I'm sure if I am that I'll hear about it.
Of course.
I don't remember any egregious penalties that there might have been some roughing both ways, or both teams could have got called.
Right.
I don't remember anything off the top of my head that was screaming the ref blew that. I didn't. I don't know.
No, it could have just been one of those games that didn't call for that many penalties. It was just weird to see that.
One thing I want to bring up, though, is
sure.
One thing that worries me a little bit. I don't want to say worries, but needs to be corrected a little bit, is I don't think the Penguins are going to win too many games with winning 2-1.
Right.
if the Penguins are going to win, we've seen this in playoff failures of the past. They need to. They're a team that lives by scoring. That's their calling card. That's their marquee. They were fortunate yesterday. One of those goals, as we mentioned, was very fluky. They need to get more scoring. They did this. They won yesterday by winning 2-1.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't bank on that to be the case. A 2-1 is a game the Islanders want to win.
It kind of weird. It almost seems like the Islanders lost the game they should have won in terms of their style, and the Penguins lost game one, which is more of a Penguin game.
Yeah, 2-1 is a game the Islanders want to play. They're suited for that. Once they get a lead, they shut things down with Trotz's style, and they don't have the names that the Penguins do. The Penguins, you think, want to score, so they got to get their offense going a little bit. They got to get 5-on-5, but as you also mentioned, they got to get the special teams. They got to get the special teams going as well. One guy that I thought was their best player in the ice yesterday, and he wasn't a star in the game or anything, but the puck just seemed to be following Getzel yesterday. Every time he was on the ice, him, Rust, and Crosby had great chemistry. Knew he was just getting he everything. The puck was following him, and he was just getting shot after shot on net. I don't know how many shots he finished with, but to me, I thought he was, if not the best, he was one of the best Penguins on the ice yesterday. I thought he wasn't a star at the end of the game, but he was in my eyes.
Well, Jake Guentzel also a star on the stat sheet. He didn't score, but 7 shots on goal, by far the most for anybody on the ice. And Jake Guentzel has been that player from the jump in his career that has been Mr. Playoffs. The Stanley Cup playoffs have been his best friend. He has been the best there, has been great in the regular season at times, but has never really been that legit star that's going to all of a sudden score 45 goals. He hasn't taken over seasons, but in the playoffs, he's been like that guy. And Rust has also been great in the playoffs too. Has been very lucky, has been Mr. Clutch. You see him scoring. And I think for me, seeing secondary players like a Guentzel, like a Rust, like a Zucker, like a Matheson, even the defense playing better, and Jeff Carter, who again is older, you're not going to always expect him to do this, but him to be involved in the offense without Malkin there, that's big for the rest of the playoffs. That's at least big for getting through this series with Jari playing better, because Crosby's going to come around. Crosby already dominated in game one at times. He was able to get a goal there. I don't have concern that Crosby's not going to come around. I have confidence in Crosby. The others have to step up and have to perform as well. You need secondary scoring to win. They got it in game two, even with only the 2 goals. They were secondary offensive scoring chances. 7 shots on net for a player. That's big. Eventually, you figure that's going to beat down the Islanders, and they're not going to be able to deal with the Penguins' smoke per se. So that's big. I think getting more of that moving forward, getting that type of goaltending from Jari. Varlamov played well too. The Islanders, game 3 is clearly the game. If the Islanders steal that, we're looking at a 7-game series probably, which when you go 7, you never know. If the Islanders lose that and the Penguins win game 3, I wouldn't be shocked the Penguins take care of this business in 5 or 6, just because they are the better team. But Trotz's style is great for the playoffs, and you just don't know. Day off from Penguins hockey today, but Thursday, game 3. We'll be with you to recap that as well as the rest of the week. Check out all the sites here throughout the Pittsburgh Sports Now family of networks. Of course, the coverage there from that Penguins victory over there at Pittsburgh Hockey Now. And again, Jari was better. The secondary scoring was there a little bit. We were able to figure out that Carter can score when it's not against the Buffalo Sabres, because that was this 4-goal performance. So he's been able to do it not against Buffalo with better defensive pairings coming at him. And Jari was able to at least stop the 30-footers. So, hey, the little things were better. And right now that was good enough for that win. But maybe they also got lucky, but maybe the Islanders got lucky in game 1. So that leaves game 3 to figure it out. Yeah. That leaves game 3 to figure it out.
Yeah, if you're a Stanley Cup team or a team that makes it to the finals, you don't win every game convincingly. There's always games that people can go back and point that, you got a break or whatever. The good ones get the breaks. The bad teams, the losers always come up a play short. So hopefully for the Penguins' sake, they get more breaks than not. But I wanted to point something out, Mike. I was Baseball last night. I was down at the fields watching a couple games, and a guy comes up to me, kind of cool,
Okay.
and said to me, he just tapped me on the shoulder. This doesn't ever happen to me, but he taps me on the shoulder and said, "Hey, I liked your video yesterday with talking about the Pitt salaries."
Okay, there you go. Hey, we got a fan here. You got a
Yeah,
viewer.
our show
There you
yesterday. A guy comes up to me and he mentioned that and just said, "Like you, I think your videos in the morning with Mike." And
that's nice. Awesome.
so, yeah, it was unexpected. I liked it, but somebody's watching.
There you go. Well, we have some numbers for
Yeah.
sure. I'm sure Doug Martin's happy to hear that as well. So yeah, that's great. Keep on watching. Also, let him know to subscribe to the channel. You get notifications whenever anything is uploaded, premieres, it goes live here on the channel. And we will see what occurs for the Penguins in game 3. Obviously going to be very, very important. That's obviously going to be what will really be the telltale sign. We actually do have a rare chatter here, though. We're going to wrap things up. And just to say Jerry has to steal one. Well, at some point, I feel like to win the cup or go deep and go to the final, he probably will have to steal one. I can't say he stole game 2, even though he played much better. We'll see if that can happen as well. This is his first playoff go around, but very, very young. But he has the keys to the Cadillac. This is still a talented team. The window is a little bit open now. When you bring a guy like Jeff Carter, and Malkin's going to need to get healthy, I would imagine, for the deep run as well. We appreciate the love from the fan there. Keep it coming. Subscribe again. Martin Lawn Services presents here, mic'd up. Martin Lawn Services can be notified and called at 412-849-5894. So tell Doug you like the show as well. For Mike Vukovcan, for that fan, for Martin Lawn Services, for all of us here throughout the network, I'm Mike Asti, and